Welcome to the Social Work Rants podcast, providing a platform for social workers to share their stories. The podcast covers a wide range of topics, including mental health, social justice, policy, and the day-to-day realities of the profession. This season, season 9, we'll be focusing on the mental and emotional aspects of money for people of color. Hope you enjoy.
You guys are on for 30 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, social workers, mental health professionals, and change agents. Welcome to a special episode of the Social Work Rants podcast. I'm your host, Bas Moreno. Saludos a todos. Greetings, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast. I appreciate all the love and support. Gracias a todos por su apoyo. We are live on a special episode from FinCon 2024. FinCon is a financial creator conference. So I'm here with two very special guests, both in the financial social work space. So shout out to Rita Wilson, who's the creator of financial social work. God bless her. And she has the financial social work book coming out next year, 2025. So be on the lookout for that. For those who don't know, I became certified financial social worker at the beginning of the summer. It was one of my 2024 goals. And here in FinCon in Atlanta, where we're at, was one of my other goals to come here. And shout out to past podcast guest Taylor, known as Social Work to Wealth on Instagram. She told me about FinCon, and I was like, I got to come, and here I am. So recording live, presented by LLattorney.com, and who gracious enough to give us this space. So I actually look and sound official for once. So, so my guests, I'll start to my left since I'm left-handed. Rachel Duncan out in Denver. How are you doing today?
I'm good, and I'm a lefty too, so I appreciate that a lot. We won't be bumping elbows right next to each other.
So let people know who you are and what you do in the space.
Thanks, Baz. I'm Rachel Duncan. As I said, I'm based in Denver, Colorado. I'm a certified financial social worker. I am this close to be a certified financial therapist. Got to take that test. I'm almost there. I'm also an art therapist, and I work one-on-one with folks, but I also have been creating a membership, a support group that can serve people anywhere who struggle with impulse spending and money avoidance. And I bring in creative practices as well as basic personal finance, and we meet weekly. That's called the Money Healing Club.
Oh, that's beautiful. Shout out to my past coworker and guest, Kyla. She's also an art therapist. I had her on the podcast a couple years ago. And to my right, Constance, how you doing today? Let people know who you are.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming through.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, let people know who you are and what you do.
I'm Constance McConnell. I'm a clinical social worker, and I also have my certification in financial social work. I specialize in working with individuals who are going through major life transitions, and a lot of times we end up talking about money because usually money is impacted.
Absolutely.
And for better, for worse sometimes. And I offer psychotherapy sessions in 9 states via telehealth.
Nice.
And I also do immigration evaluations for clients that are going through immigration court, and they're applying for what's called a hardship visa. So I get to interview them, learn their story, learn a little bit about how separating the family would impact them not only emotionally but financially.
Yeah, so you mentioned hardship, and I try to talk a lot about it on the podcast, just the aftermath of COVID that's not been discussed at all in our society and within the federal, local governments. I haven't been talking about that at all. What are you seeing, like what type of life changes are you focused on?
Oh, I've had many stories. But yeah, some of my clients, I've had a client who is transitioning from a 2-income to 1-income family household because of divorce. Another one getting married, so increased income. I work with clients who are also dealing with what's called imposter syndrome. They're making the most money they ever made in their lives, and they're working through some scarcity mindset and attitudes through that. I've had clients who also have come across money through settlement, and it's looked as bad money because the associated trauma that they endured to get the money.
Right.
So I work a lot about, I really focus on mindset and identity as you're going through that life change. So,
Wow, very interesting. And I know firsthand about getting a lump sum of money just because of bad circumstances through life insurance policies and having to use life insurance policies twice for two family members has been a major influence in my life. My ex-wife and my mom. So
I'm so sorry.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So people
that's
who
huge.
watch and listen to the podcast know about that story. So Rachel, what's life in Denver like other than the head coach or the Broncos acting the fool?
Oh, you're talking sports? I'm sorry. I'm like an arts person.
That's the only thing I know about Denver. That's my point.
That's okay. There's not a whole lot else to know. Yeah, it's where I'm from. And I live there with my husband and actually my mother-in-law and our two kids. So I am living the sandwich as we speak. And actually my mother had lived with us before she died. So my brother jokes that I'm running an elder hostel. It's just like revolving door.
But in terms of your art therapy, like what type of work do you do? Like who do you do it for? Like
Yeah. So I work with mostly adults. I was sharing earlier that I used to say I work with millennial women, but I'm not saying that anymore because I seem to be, my clientele runs from 25 to 65 years old right now, and women, trans, non-binary, and men. So this isn't a gendered thing. This isn't an age thing. But people come to me when they tend to be creative people who have been avoiding money, also taught to avoid money, maybe being taught by their families that they're, quote, no good with money. And, they've been avoiding it so long, and then with the current economy, they kind of can't avoid it anymore because of the cost of living crisis and all of that. And so a lot of them come to me because I impulse spend, and that's where all my money goes. And I just love an impulse spender. And they say, tell me more. Tell me about what you love to buy. I bet you have great taste. And their shoulders just drop because I'm not going to shame them about impulse shopping. And so I teach them about the addiction cycle. I come from an addictions framework. And that is usually very helpful. And also, guess what? I actually don't think your impulse spending is the problem. I bet it's cost of housing. I bet it's that pet that needs 5 emergency surgeries. I bet it's the keep the lights on stuff that has just risen, 20% over the last few years. And I bet you're just trying to soothe yourself because life's hard. Whew. So we just totally changed the conversation about our relationship with spending and identity and all of that. And so when it seems right, I will often ask my client to make an image about that experience, an image of themselves as a child or whatever the context is. And it's so powerful. And because a lot of my folks, they're like, oh, the idea of a budget or the idea of even opening a spreadsheet just puts me into a panic.
Right.
So I don't push it. We don't go there for a while. We usually have 3, 4, 5 sessions of really getting into this more creative zone. And then they find that they're ready to approach some of the nuts and bolts stuff. And then I love bridging that. I also love nuts and bolts. And my client told me the other day that, you're a spreadsheet therapist. Thank you. I think I am too.
a new niche in the space.
Yeah, certified spreadsheet therapist. So I love bridging
nuts
both
and
things.
bolts therapy.
Yeah. Well, and then the group work. I love group work. I love one-on-one, and I also love group work. And so this group that in the Money Healing Club is this beautiful thing where now, folks are shooting job opportunities to each other. And it's really a community of people that are I need to share this win. I actually negotiated a car loan. I've never done that before, and
wow.
these beautiful firsts that this lovely little community is sharing. So that's been the most joy I've ever had.
I love it. Now, Constance, I try to focus on, like I said earlier, about aftermath of COVID. People actually probably be struggling more now than they were during the pandemic, and people were already struggling during the pandemic. So, talking about life change, I give you an example. So, I told you I lost 10 clients from COVID, lost my mom from COVID. I moved literally a couple months later from New York, from the Bronx. I could walk to Yankee Stadium in Delaware, all in a matter of months. And then the following year, literally months later, got a home. It became a first-time homeowner. And I bought a car like literally 2 weeks after I closed up my house. So I literally had to
Lot of change.
relearn how to drive.
Did you call her up during all that? You should have.
So a lot of change, a lot of good. It's kind of like 2020. Sucked for the most part until September, which is my birthday month, and talking about
Mine
sports.
too.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Where? September what?
Virgo,
I'm a Libra. So.
16.
Okay, 26. So, and my cousin's the 14th, so he's also a Virgo too. So all that to say, so people are going through a lot of change, especially in New York. People were leaving New York like crazy. It got expensive. I talk about how I can't stand the previous mayor and the new mayor. Actually, is doing a worse job. So it's like. All that to say about changes, life changes, like the struggle is real. We talk about we say the struggle is real as jokingly, but the struggle is really real for a lot of folks. So you touched on earlier, what other stuff you seen like the purpose of your work, how you helping the clients?
So I use narrative therapy.
Narrative therapy.
I believe everybody has a story.
Absolutely.
And I love to hear people's stories, and so. A lot of my clients, when we are doing that identity work and narrative therapy, we are exploring possible conflicts that they may have within themselves and what society has told them about themselves, what their culture has told them about themselves, even their family members, and trying to work through who they really are, what are their strengths, what they believe in, what their values are in the midst of all the change.
Right.
So I do a lot of self-exploration with them.
I might need you to, because I always fight with the grass in my backyard. Like, stop growing. It's like the Happy Gilmore. Adam Sandler's like talking to the boat. Get in the hole. That's me with the grass.
But that was another thing. Life-changing events could still cause some mental stress.
Of course.
Even if they're good, right? And so I think it's important to pause and be mindful of your thoughts, your mind, what's going on, but also your body.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to
I make
lose
clients
the COVID weight.
pause. Because as adults, we're like just on the go all the time. I'm a mom too. And it's important to just really take that time to explore who you are in this season of your life.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's another thing too. So my kids too, they taught me more about resiliency more than anything. Though luckily my son opened up. I was like, I miss my friends in New York. I was like, okay, so
That's fair.
pretty much was a whole crew from first grade to fifth grade, and now we're a new state. Now he talks to anybody and everybody, and it's like who are these people? So it's like, but it took a while to get there, and that stuff that needs to be talked about, and life-changing stuff, and the whole thing. So I appreciate the work that both of you do.
Thank
Actually,
you.
I mentioned art therapy. I mentioned my past guests did great work with art therapists with older adults. So I have my dad. He's in a program right now, and he can't stand the art therapy. It's like he feels like he's a little kid. Like they do little kid stuff in it.
Well, here's the thing: is a lot of us little kids love creating. There's no block there. They're just gonna do it. But all they need is one little bit of criticism, or one bad art teacher, or one kid making a comment, and they start shutting it down. Usually around 3rd, 4th grade. So when I work with adults and they haven't drawn anything since they were 8 or 9, that's often where their art ability still is, and so they get frustrated because also when you're 8 and 9, you want to draw things that are realistic, and that's where you stop. So there's some therapy in itself in helping adults like reconnect to like make mistakes and make something ugly. And I tell them like you're going to make ugly stuff. This is not something you're going to put on your refrigerator. You have a choice where you want to put your artwork afterwards. It truly is in the process of creating. So it's that in itself is really healing because it gets to, a little, like very, very little part that we all have that is this creative thing. And also I don't push it. Like we can do journaling. We can just talk. Like the point of art therapy is actually I'm approaching everything as an artist. So whether or not we're talking or creating art, I am paying attention to the colors that come to mind and the sensations and the metaphors. So I'm in the art space even if my client isn't, and that's what informs the therapy. So that's like the little known part of what art therapy actually is that the therapist has the eyes of an artist.
Wow, interesting. I never heard it like that. I like that, and especially with all the books that came out, the coloring books that came out for adults, and that came out after COVID, which was great, and people really got into coloring, and I do a little coloring. Oh, this is actually relaxing. I should just more.
It's good. It does, and it doesn't have to be capital A art. As I'm saying all the time, and like, oh, arts and crafts. Like, no, it's really not that. You might make something you truly hate. That's great. Like that's fine. Because it's usually I'm asking like a pretty big question that we're making art about. Like just this week in group, I had everyone make an image of their fantasy self that makes purchases that goes against their goals. Because often clients talk about that. Oh, I have this fantasy self that like I go to the beach every year. I don't go to the beach. Why do I keep buying things like I do go to the beach? Show me that fantasy self. So I do a lot of IFS, a lot of parts work. So like there's a part of you that is building that dream. Let's ask that part what it really wants for you and ask it to, work with you in terms of spending choices because there's such a battle. There's such an internal battle. And I think all of those parts have a strength. And so we listened to this fantasy self. Then we made a new image of yourself, your real self. And are there any aspects of the fantasy self image that you'd like to bring into your real self? Like, oh, well, maybe I would like to travel more. Maybe I'm not going to go to the beach 3 times a year, but or whatever it is. And it was a really powerful experience. Also, the images of your real self was such a more whole image that everyone noticed that, which I thought was interesting. I didn't even expect that like the image of the fantasy self was like not really complete. It was kind of thin. It was kind of weird. But the image of your real self is really full. And that was a really cool thing to experience. So it's those types of like, okay, we come for the money, and we end up just like in this journey to the soul every time, right? Do you find that too?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like money. It's about money, and it isn't all the time.
Yeah, it's deeper. It's deeper than the numbers.
Deep stuff. It is deep stuff, and then it lets you get to the numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But it's important to start there. Yeah.
No, it's definitely important, and even like life changing. Like talk about death and. Death is expensive. If we talk about money, especially like if you don't have life insurance, it's even more expensive. And the GoFundMe's that exists, and even like a lot of people who have life insurance are underinsured, and is like barely not even able to pay for the whole funeral and stuff like that. So, are you seeing a lot of that stuff as well?
Oh yeah.
So how do you like work through that?
What part? The lacking?
Or just everything?
Just grief in general.
Well, the grief in general, the lacking of life insurance policy, or just in general.
Yeah,
like,
so some of my clients that are struggling with the piece of like funding a funeral, it's more about the dynamics. So the relationship dynamics. So it could be like between siblings,
of course,
or like an elderly parent. So just processing that first. Yeah. But grief, we talk a lot about grief in that there's different types of grief.
Absolutely.
And a lot of my clients, they actually were dealing with what's called anticipatory grief.
What is that?
So usually their loved one was diagnosed with like a condition that was terminal. So we talk about how they've been grieving even before the actual physical loss of that loved one. I have a lot of clients whose parents are dealing with like dementia, which is like a slower progression. So you slowly start to lose personality, and then like more functional and cognitive pieces of just how to how to navigate the world. And so it's like a slower progression of losing this person that you grew up with and this image or this idea of a person and the relationship that you had. So you're mourning that. And then the actual physical loss of that person, of not being able to see them, every day or call them on Mondays that you used to, So I do a lot of education on the feelings associated with grief. And that it's not like anybody that took like Psychology 101, the stages of grief, it is not linear. It is a hot mess. It is all over. And I think just like having a conversation about that just helps normalize the feelings associated with grief. Yeah.
And just even talking about it, period, especially, people don't talk about death at all, period. And then something happens and money or like life changing. Like I work with people who have dementia and Alzheimer's, and I see like the grief of how it used to be, and like now the changes and the struggles, and having like being a caretaker, and you talk about the sandwich piece that we talked about earlier, and so it's a lot happening.
And sometimes the grief over what you thought your adulthood would be like.
Right.
Like, I thought my
that.
parents would live longer or whatever. I thought they'd be available to be grandparents. And sometimes I think there's a lot of grief we have of like the adulthood we were promised. And then even if we're not the ones with a diagnosis, there's grief in that, isn't there? Like the life we thought we would have.
Yeah.
Deep stuff, y'all. Deep stuff.
Absolutely. So Rachel, how can people connect with you? Talk about your coaching program.
Yeah, I'm everywhere at Money Healing Club. MoneyHealingClub.com, Instagram at Money Healing Club. That's my main stuff. I have a free mindful spending email course. Just hop on my website. You can sign up for it. I love my email game much more than my social media game. So if you want like the nicest emails about money every week, get on my email list.
Awesome. Constance, how can people work with you?
They can go to my website.
What's the website?
Courage, the number 2, the word heal, like as in healing.org.
Nice.
And I'm also on social media, TikTok, and I do some YouTube shorts at The Financial Social Worker. So yeah, that's how you can connect with me.
You mentioned you worked at nine states. Well, like, where are your clients based out of?
So I moved a lot. So I have some Illinois clients, Minnesota, Iowa, trying to think geographically. North Carolina. I'm in North Carolina. South Carolina, Florida, Virginia, Vermont.
Now, is there a difference depending what state you're in, problems that you're seeing, or are you seeing a lot of the same stuff, doesn't matter the state you're in?
No, I think, I wouldn't say I see anything different. I mean, right now, with current events, with the hurricanes coming through, yes. Yeah, my clients that are in South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, we're having a lot more conversations on starting a new life.
Right.
Because they've lost their homes. But typically, no. But, yeah, with current events happen, major events happen, then yeah.
How is that conversations like? I mean, I experienced Hurricane Sandy when I lived in New Jersey. That was like things that was 2012. Wasn't that bad. I did lose. Well, the neighborhood I lived lost power, except for my complex so I literally had to use my phone as my flashlight to get back home from work. What are the conversations like with people that experience all this loss?
Yeah, we're talking a lot about support, what that looks like, natural supports right now, and just making sure that they are getting connected to like basic needs first. So yeah, I'm part of a cohort that provides pro bono therapy right now for victims impacted by that. But
they're so lucky to have you.
Basically, like trying to just focus on your basic needs right now, and then leaning in your natural supports.
That's all you can do right now.
Yeah.
Like the future stuff, you'll
right.
You're
we'll
in
talk
a stable
about it later.
place. You can get to that later. Yeah, I'm saying that all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's like right now.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Their safety.
No, absolutely. We talk about the the whole pyramid. The safety is first and foremost. So
Yeah.
we talk about safety all the time in social work, where it doesn't matter who our clients are, and
Yeah.
it's all about the safety. If we got to call child services for your kid or adult protective
Yeah.
services for an adult, it's all about safety. So eventually, doesn't matter how we doing social work. We doing social work, and it goes back
Yeah.
to
That's why I love
the
being a
basics
social
of,
worker.
of, of
Think
safety.
of the whole
So-
person.
Yeah. Well, and okay, if people, like a lot of my people, I'm sure you guys too, have suffered financial trauma, and so then they associate anything with money as danger,
Yeah.
and that has kept them from being able to interface with it. So I really try to normalize. I teach about financial trauma. Like, of course, you're going to be afraid of something that's hurt you before. So it's like, okay, maybe you're just on high alert though in places where you just got to open your bank account, right?
Yeah.
And so we kind of work through that, some distress tolerance, and learning like, oh, there can be danger, but there isn't always danger with money, and create a more nuanced place, because that's the thing with trauma, we get into this black and white place, right?
Yeah.
All or nothing.
Yeah.
So I think that's like, that just comes up all the time with us.
Yeah, I mean, the financial trauma is so real, and even with my work, providing financial education and one-on-one counseling, just putting the mental health and money aspect together, that people are stressing out about their finances, but they're not linking mental health with finances together at
Yeah.
all. It's like, you're stressed out, and it's okay to acknowledge those feelings. You talk, like, based on the social work, the exam, like a lot of the answers are acknowledging people's feelings first and
Yeah.
foremost.
Well, number one.
So it's like, it's okay to acknowledge your feelings about how you're stressing out, why you're
Yeah.
stressing out, and having these conversations, one-on-one conversations, that even doing public speaking and having those type of conversations with individuals in the community too, and just having these conversations like, let's talk. We need to talk about finance. It's 2024 going on 2025. We have to talk about finances in our community. It doesn't matter who's in office. If you really want to talk about it, it doesn't matter from 2020 who was in office. It's all about personal finances, your personal finance
Yeah.
situation. So it doesn't matter who really is going to win coming in November. Just focus on your personal finances. So all that to say, like, we need to talk about mental health and our finances and everything that's been happening even before COVID, after COVID, and going forward in terms of money and finances and mental health.
And for people who are feeling money shame, feeling like they should be farther ahead, or that, oh, if only they knew what a mess my money is, I just want to say that's what every single one of my clients and club members say. Like, you are not alone.
Yeah.
Most people don't really have it sorted out. Most people feel like their money is more of a mess than it should be. And it's just, that's the other part of this, is like, you are not alone at all. Everyone deserves to have, a financial therapist in their lives to normalize this stuff and make this less scary.
Yeah, it's definitely like money needs to be, like I said, talked about, be less scary, and thank you for the great work that you're doing.
Thanks, Baz.
Both
It's so
of you.
fun.
Thank you. You too.
And thank you. I'm trying, trying in the space. So I just want to thank you to LLCattorney.com for sponsoring this live podcasting at FinCon 2024. Maybe you might do a live show in 2025 as a possible goal. Hint, hint. And LLCattorney.com. Hello, I'm looking for paid sponsorship. Just shoot my shot. I've been shooting my shot since 2020. So hint, hint. So thank you, ladies, for your time. I'll see you around in the conference. Let's try to make this money, make these connections, and all the financial social workers out there, wherever FinCon's going to be next year. I'm advocating for New York, Philly, go back to DC. You need to come and enjoy yourself.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
Thanks, Baz, so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.